Hmm? I wonder how often people talk about this one. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian. And with this video, it's going to be me talking about the character arc or the character development of the Doctors in New Who. Starting from Chris Eccleston down to Peter Capaldi, from the 9th Doctor down to the 12th Doctor. Because oftentimes, every now and again, people have seen my previous videos, and they think I think of negativity of only one set of doctors over the other. No. While I do favor some doctors over the other when it comes to New Who, as is the case with Classic Who, I don't deny, there is something or an aspect of each Doctor's era from 9 to 12 that I do greatly respect, and I do actually see as almost like a large tapestry, or all four of them make this masterpiece when it comes to a journey of a character. And by the way, if you hear anything going on behind me, it's people gardening outside. Okay, with this camera, said it before if you see my videos, so sorry for sounding redundant, but it's very good at not always picking up on what I'm saying, but on what's happening far outside of my window. I don't know why it does that. It just does. Just does. Sadness. Sadness. Now, without further ado, if you heard that, I'm really sorry. I hope you did not hear that loud sound behind me, and I hope it does not continue. Now, here we go. When it comes to... There was a loud sound again. The arc of the Doctors when it comes from the 9th through 12th Doctor. Again, like I said before, I have said things where, some things about New Who I loved and did not like. But when it comes to the 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor, 11th through 12, with the 9th Doctor, we have a Doctor who is shell-shocked after the Time War, and as a result, he's not in the most stable of places. Now, this has led to the writing staff, head writer by Russell T Davies, doing things with his Doctor that I loved in some circumstances, but I did not love in other circumstances. I'm not going to get into the parts I do not like right now, because I've done it many times before. Again, if you want to see any of my feelings towards the 9th Doctor's behavior and actions, it's in my video, Series 1, Perfect or Overrated. There you go. I go all into my analysis on the actual 9th Doctor in that video. So I'm not going to be talking about the things I was not crazy about. I'll be talking about the aspects of this idea of having the Doctor's personality be greatly affected by the Time War. The Time War happens, and I know if those people like, well, the Time War, even though I'm mentioning it as being Russell T Davies, I know Russell T Davies did not fully come up with the idea of the Time War. I know it was something, because I double-checked, there was idea of Gallifrey being destroyed in the 8th Doctor's audio adventures, and I double-confirmed that is true. I can't remember the name of the adventure, but it was true. Or in the text of his adventures. And he just can't remember it fully well, but he knows but Gallifrey is in fact gone. So I know that the Time War was probably recycled from something that was already pre-existing in the 8th Doctor's adventures. But with the Time War, the Doctor has been traveling alone for quite a while, and he meets Rose Tyler, and now he has a friendship with her, and therefore now he's in a companionship. He has a companion after a while of being alone, after suffering a great loss when it came to Gallifrey being gone. Even though he had a very interesting and complicated relationship with Gallifrey, it is still his home planet. So he is suffering from the pain and agony of that being affecting him, and maybe even altering his personality in ways his personality was not like before. He is in a fragile state. He's in a morally ambiguous state, not in a morally sometimes self-destructive state. I don't always agree that his Doctor improved in the way they say his Doctor improved when he was around Rose Tyler, but his Doctor did soften in many ways. So there are parts of his incarnation I did not like, and I don't really think it was just him being a jerk. I think there was something about his relationship with Rose Tyler that I was like, well, I'm not that crazy about this sort of setup here. But again, there I do admit that there was something about her that did soften him, and sometimes it was for the better. It widened and it opened him up to the idea of companionship. It opened him up to the beginning of him returning to the man he was before, or more correctly put, the Time Lord he was before. He is now a doctor traveling with a companion. Then we have the 10th Doctor era. Now, the 10th Doctor era, he's coming right off the coattails of this Doctor who was shell-shocked from the Time War, or I mean, his incarnation that was shell-shocked from the Time War, but was beginning to learn to grow and feel emotion. For me, the 10th Doctor, he's often regarded as the human Doctor. That makes sense because he totally is. And this is something I didn't have time to talk about in my previous video of why I was not a big fan of the 10th Doctor. Because he's a Doctor who it seems like is trying to be human. He's not, though. He's an alien. He's a Gallifreyan. So he's trying to become he's gradually morphing into something or trying to become a part of something he actually is not. And what happens when you try to become something you're not? You cause a mess. Or you think things are coming together, but they're also falling apart at the same time because you're trying to be something you're not, or you are emulating, adapting to something you are not. You are what you are. He is a Time Lord. He's an alien. He is from Gallifrey. But he is also now a Time Lord who looks a lot younger than he usually often looks, and he's developing a romantic side, and he's feeling a connection to a human female who is really young, but still a human female, and he's behaving in ways that humans do when they encounter circumstances. He is acting like, having a god complex in one situation, but then he's turning around being humble in the next situation. He has a psychotic side to him. He has a sociopathic side to him. He also has a very charming side to him and a very warm side to him. It's not just him being a very dynamic character. He's a character who is, you can see it's an alien trying to be human and leading to this conflict of internal character, trying to balance out these new sensations he's growing within him. Even down to his relationships, you see the human side of it, even though he is an alien. Again, with Rose, you see him trying to, gradually feeling this deep connection with a human female. Then Martha comes along, and he treats her the way, some humans treat a rebound companion, or rebound relationship. And those of you people, side note, those of you people who were mad at me focusing on Martha and why 10 is not my favorite Doctor, okay, everything I mentioned about Martha, about how the 10th Doctor treated Martha, remember all that stuff? Now, keep a mental note. Imagine that was another Time Lord, and that's how they treated your mom when she was really young before she had you. See why he's not my favorite? Okay, back to that. Erasing that. Sorry. Just talking to those people who saw that video. Because I ran out of time. That's all. When I did those videos. Back to this. 10th Doctor, with that relationship, it's a very human relationship with Martha, where he has lost the previous person he felt a deep connection with, and he's now meeting this another woman who something about her he does have a desire to become attached to, but he's still clinging to the past, the way we humans do cling to the past, and he's letting that affect his every waking moment when it comes to his present self. But we see him gradually grow above it, only to regress back to that, the way we humans do. We try to move on from something, but sometimes we get sucked back into it. And then you have Series 4, where yes, Rose Tyler is trying to get back to the Doctor, because she's now a portal jumper, but we do see him now realizing to confront what he wants out of a relationship from the very beginning, so there are no misunderstandings, and he's now able to have a friendship with Donna Noble, and everything is being set down the right path. They're making all the right, moves to a good friendship. And then he loses her at the very end. Yeah, he does lose her at the very end, but you do see a progress of a Doctor in some ways. And you see a progress from a person or an alien, trying to become human, to an alien, again, who let his metamorphosis of being a Time Lord who's becoming more human-like snowball. So you get the end of Series 3 where Martha Jones says, "This is me getting out." It knocks the Doctor backwards, and he realizes he needs to start addressing things inside of himself and stabilize in order to have a more fruitful relationship the next time. His growth, his progression as a character is very significant, very well done, and very thoughtful, as well as very well executed in some ways. Even if I don't always like the writing during his run, there's every Doctor has writing during their run I'm not crazy about. Then you have the 11th Doctor. This is the Doctor who came after the 10th Doctor's relationship with Donna Noble, where you have a Doctor who is improved since his previous incarnation, but we also have a Doctor from the 10th Doctor who was very human in the sense that he feared leaving, and he looked at his incarnation as very mortal, the way we humans do, instead of looking at it as a Time Lord who knows he's going to regenerate. But with the 11th Doctor, we have a straight-up alien. Why? Because we have a Doctor who has gone through all of that character development before. His first, incarnation after the Time War was a Doctor who was shell-shocked and needed to soften a bit. Then you got the 10th Doctor who did soften, but he softened so much he began to try to morph or become something he did not fully understand, and he ended up dying alone or regenerating alone. Yeah, 10 was the incarnation that regenerated all alone. And, this is something that happens often not when you're transitioning from one era of a head writer in modern Who to the next. It was only in classic Who that it's like, let's carry over companions to help things feel more stabilized, which I thought was a better idea. But that could just be me. So, when it comes to the 10th Doctor turning to the 11th Doctor, you have again, he's coming off of the Doctor who softened a bit, but he also hardened a bit because he's trying to be something that he can't fully understand how to be. Then the 11th Doctor comes in after stabilization is now becoming better. Yes, his Doctor still has things to work out about himself, but his Doctor is now coming from a place of you mourn and then you live, which is what he says in The Vampires in Venice. A story I personally like, though a lot of people don't, but I'm okay with that. Where he says to the woman or the fish woman, the fish queen, or whatever you want to call her, as she's about to commit suicide, she says, "One city, you wouldn't let me have one city to save my people." He said, "We can't change the past. We mourn, and then you mourn, and then you live." Showing that this is the incarnation who's now going to turn around and move forward. So we have an incarnation of the 9th Doctor from the Time War who's in a place where he just doesn't know where to go or how to really, what future is there for him. Then you have the 10th Doctor who began to think of a future, but he also began to keep looking back to his past. He lost Rose, so he's trying to keep going forward, but he keeps on turning around looking back. Now we have the 11th Doctor, the Doctor who it's time for us to wipe our hands and look forward and go forward. This, therefore, is the beginning of the Doctor now becoming very similar to how he used to be in classic Doctor Who. The Doctor who moved on. And this affects not only his personality, but it also has a very marked effect on how he treats companions. Amy and Rory, he has Amy, but instead of just letting Rory fall to the side the way he did with Mickey in the 9th and 10th Doctor era, he brings Rory aboard. He allows his companion to have a life outside of him. And then we also meet River Song, who clearly has a connection to as well. And then we have Craig. We have a Doctor who can have companions, or have, relationships with more than one companion at one time. Again, showing an increase or a marked change from his previous selves, back to classic Who self. We have a Doctor who is pluralistic in manner when it comes to companions, rather than being too singular in manner, where he just has that one companion. It's like, this companion is the best. End of story. There's that, and then also in the Series 6, we have him when he clearly has a bond with that blue alien, Dorium. Then he also has a bond with Madame Vestra, Jenny, and Strax. Then in Series 7, we see him have a connection with Nefertiti and John Riddell. We see a Doctor who can have many relationships and have adventures also by himself. In the beginning of Series 6, we see that the Ponds are living at home again, and he picks them up after them clearly being at home for a while, but he was going off and having adventures by himself. And this is something that continues to happen all throughout Series 6 and then into Series 7. He has adventures by himself where he makes friends by himself, and then he goes back and sees the Ponds every now and again. And then eventually come down to Clara Oswald, the companion who could have easily fallen into the Martha Jones category of being the rebound companion, but he doesn't even mention Amy and Rory, even though he loved them. Does not mention River, though he loved them. He does not do that. He moves on. He mourned, then now it's time to live. Then we have the 12th Doctor. We get the first Doctor, the first incarnation that was very similar to the age of many Doctors from Classic Who. It's almost like the 12th Doctor was a reset. And then he's even back to his persona from Season 1 of Classic Who, where he's like the first Doctor. He's got that ornery personality, very similar to the first Doctor. And then you spend his incarnation softening in the same manner the first Doctor softened throughout his era of becoming a better, a kinder, a softer, and gentler person as time does move on. So with Peter Capaldi, I know that with the 12th Doctor, some people view that as them trying to, and I know that it was also them taking the Matt Smith prototype and trying to put it onto the 12th Doctor era. But what can you do? I mean, every single Doctor since Matt Smith has tried to copy Matt Smith, and not even just Doctor Who. Look at the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Again, copying the 11th Doctor. But I think with the 12th Doctor, the idea of him starting out as this ornery guy and then softening over time, I think that was a good choice. I think that was a very wise choice, because it shows a development of characters. I know some people criticize the 12th Doctor, saying, oh, well, it was great until they started morphing him into the 11th Doctor, but I think it showed a great change of the 12th Doctor, and is very similar to how the first Doctor himself also changed over time. So we get a reset. We have now a 12th Doctor who's gone completely back to Classic Who and is progressing the way the Doctor did used to progress. Now he's back to what he was before, until Series 11 came out. Until Series 11 came out. I've got nothing with that. I don't know how to bridge that. I don't. And I know people are gonna be like, well, she's a woman now, so this is ultimate progress. But her character, I don't know where to put that right now. So I don't know how to talk about that when it comes to the arc of the Doctor. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't know what to say with that. So I'm sticking with the 9th through 12th Doctor. There is an arc with them, or there is a progression of character where even though I do prefer a lot of the Doctors from Classic Who more, and the Doctors from Classic Who are three of them are my top 3 faves. My top 3 favorite Doctors are Doctors from Classic Who. But despite this, when I kind of isolate it and I look at it from, okay, the Time War happened, so the Doctor's personality had a facelift in some aspects. Now, from Series 1 to Series 10, what type of character progression is there? And when I look at it, there was a progression of character. There was an arc. There was a journey between each incarnation, and they all do fit together. Even when I criticize, I can say they do fit together when it comes to a journey and progress of a character from one situation to another. And that is a beautiful masterpiece in some regards. When you look at it from a character study, it is phenomenal. It is absolutely spellbinding, because it's like the 4 of them make this grand tapestry, this big work of art, because they show almost like a rainbow effect of personality and traits, and again, a journey, an emotional, mental, and physical trek of the Doctor. So again, I have no evidence for what I'm saying, guys. This is me just being fun, having a fun time, rattling off theories and concepts that have absolutely no validity to them whatsoever. I just feel like talking about it because I love talking about it, and I've been also thinking about this for months. This video is something I've been thinking about for months, but I did not have the, impulse to do until this week. This week I'm having a lot of impulses. A lot of impulses. I think I'm getting braver. I hope I am. I used to be a coward once upon a time. Oh, well, we've all been there, I suppose. Or hopefully I want to believe we've all been there. So thank you guys so very much for watching, and what are your thoughts or feelings about this? Do you have any feelings about this? Do you not? It's all okay. Who cares if you don't? But if you do, I would love to hear about it. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and I hope you liked this video. Thanks, guys.